Already preached the sermon. Thank you. Speaking of which, have you ever preached? Now, I know some of you can preach. Preparing a sermon, to me, is sort of like baking a cake, which I have not nearly as much experience doing as preparing sermons. But it seems to me that the best cakes are the ones with not only exactly the right measure and mixture of ingredients, but also ones in which the ingredients have been left in the oven the exact right amount of time. Too short of time, things don't hold together. Too long of time, and the cake is hard and tastes burnt and stale. Sermons are the same. What to say and when to say it and what not to say and when not to say it are the critical issues. Over the past several weeks, I have been mulling over if and when to address thoughts and feelings surrounding the incident in Ferguson, Missouri. My hesitancy comes from my sense that too much has already been said by too many who simply do not know that of which they speak. The last thing I want to do is to contribute to the noise. I cannot, nor should not, nor should you, pass judgment on what happened that day between Mr. Michael Brown and Officer Darren Wilson. A grand jury was convened for that purpose, to examine the evidence. In a society governed by the rule of law, their judgment stands. But what I can say is that what we see happening in Ferguson and in other places around our country, perhaps triggered by events on that day, has not all that much to do with either Michael Brown or Darren Wilson. It has more to do with all of us. The reaction to the shooting, as well as the reaction to the reaction, conveys once more a deep sense of frustration and anger. A sense that things in our midst are just not right. And simply tweaking things a little here and a little there will not relieve the anxiety. The problems erupting to the surface are like a too long ignored infection that begins to damage vital parts of the body. And in this case, the body is us as a people. We, the people. Where is the we? Simply putting a bandage over the most recent wound will not clear the body of the infection, a condition called hopelessness. Beyond even Ferguson, poll after poll reveals that the American public is not happy with the direction we are headed. For some, the economy is doing much, much better, but still not happy. For some, technological advances make life more convenient and healthy, but still not happy. All around, it seems folks are looking for something different, looking for something or someone to be a game changer. Maybe it's time to fire the coach or change the quarterback. Simply going with a different uniform color won't do it. We need a game changer. And it seems like we're having trouble finding that game changer out of the Republicans or the Democrats or the Tea Party or the Occupy movement or any other political entity ever organized. And as a people, we are frustrated and angry. Our lectionary scripture read so beautifully this morning is the voice of frustration from 2.5 millennium ago that continues to echo to this day. And we listen to these words and they sound like ones that are being spoken across kitchen tables and behind closed office doors and out on street corners all around us today. This passage is a part of a prayer of lament that begins in Isaiah 63:7 and extends to Isaiah 64:12. The prayer was composed sometime after the Babylonian conquest of the Israelite people and before they had rebuilt the temple which had been destroyed in that conquest. By definition, this was a time of great spiritual disorientation and pain for Israel. And the early part of the prayer presents the complaint, the perception that God simply has taken a hike. The people, in spite of their rich memories of redemption, are now groping for evidence that God is still there. And in God's perceived absence, they're following their own wayward ways, a waywardness that would surely disappear if God would just come back like He had been here before. And in his prayer, the prophet Isaiah goes from voicing desperation to blame to confession to pleading for mercy. It's like he's traveling through all the stages of grief in one prayer, and never quite making it to the stage of acceptance and peace. We don't have to look far to find places where our own stories meet up with the prophet's lament. And from day to day, we hop and we skip back and forth between moods of desperation and fits of blaming others, including God, and self-loathing periods of guilt and bargaining pleas for magical relief. And in those times, we look for big language, don't we? Big language. We need powerful images. And so we beg God to simply tear open the heavens and bring sweeping change that completely alters the landscape. We want a Messiah. We want a Savior. And we want one that's ready to come and kick some, you know what. A while back, I had an opportunity to bear witness. A colleague of mine came to me and asked for a few moments of my time. She said she had a question, a preacher question. I thought, oh, brother. Well, her question was really a story. Her husband, who worked at a restaurant out at Exit 19 with a man who worked in the kitchen as a busboy or a dishwasher, a man of very humble means, she said a very sweet man. This man was riding his bicycle home from work out at Exit 19 all the way to this south end of town one night in the dark. Some of you know what that's like, to have to ride your bike home from work, don't you? And he was robbed, he was beaten up, and they took his bicycle, his only means of transportation. And her question to me that day was, why does God let things like that happen? She said, I just need a few minutes of your time. I probably didn't answer her question very well. I don't have this problem of evil worked out in 5 minutes. I don't have it quite down yet. For all my wonderful theological education, a short, satisfactory answer to that question I did not receive. She went on to share more about her own personal struggle with life's unexplainable, painful events, and I listened and I offered my best attempt at reassurance that God's love is pervasive, that nothing can ever separate us from God's love, even when evil appears to have the upper hand. God is still in control.
Amen.
And as I was getting ready for this message today, I reflected back on that incident, and it occurred to me that maybe my answer to her was too anemic. Maybe my best witness would have been to go to her and to ask her to find out how we as God's people together could help this man who was robbed of his bicycle. Maybe what she was seeking, more than an answer from me, was a way to join in this fight against evil, a way to be a part of a solution instead of the problem, a way to link arms with someone who's a real game changer. My colleague did not attend church at that time. I'm not sure if she does now, and I got the sense she was seeking something. And maybe wondering if she did attend church, would it make a difference in her life? Would it be a game changer? I didn't realize this, but a while back our district superintendent shared with us in a preacher meeting I was at that when the American public was most recently surveyed about their religious affiliation, there's now a new group at the top. It used to be the Roman Catholics were at the top with the Southern Baptists right on their heels. And then the Mormons tracing right along there. Most people were one of those three groups. But now there's a different group at the top. The largest group, when folks are asked about your religious affiliation, the largest group today is the nuns. And I'm not talking about the ladies who wear the funny hats and go about the world doing good works. The N-O-N-Es. None. No religious affiliation is now the largest group in America.
Amen.
Folks are looking for a game changer, and evidently they're not expecting to find it in a building with a steeple on the top or behind the stained glass windows. Our district superintendent challenged us to get out behind our stained glass and from underneath our steeples to introduce the world to the real game changer. Advent is upon us. And yes, we know this season is the time that we put out the purple paraments and we light the wreath with the 3 purple and the 1 pink candle, and we get ready for Christmas. But really, this is a season for seekers. For those who are searching for something more in life than what we can find at the mall or in line at Walmart or Target at 12 midnight on, well now, 12 midnight on Thanksgiving Day. As the church, we get really busy sometimes this time of year, and that's good. All the things we've planned are good. But in the midst of it all, will we get quiet enough to examine our own hearts and to ask ourselves if we are playing our best game, or do we need a game changer? It was into a world that was frustrated and angry and discouraged and feeling hopeless about things. It was into that kind of a world that a baby was born some 2,000 years ago.
Amen.
His birth, like many we know, did not come as his parents had planned. One thing about babies, they rarely follow the rules. And this was no exception. He came while they were away from home in a place where they couldn't even find a motel room. But his birth, like every birth for his parents, was a game changer. But his birth was not only a game changer for his parents, but a game changer for the world, for us. He was not a game changer in the way maybe the world was looking for a game changer. He did not come with an army to invade his way into our world. He did not come with a political party to overthrow his way into power. He did not come with a financial fortune to buy his way to the top. He came as the King of love with a gift for the world, for all of us. He came not to change the game from the outside, but to change the game from the inside. He came to change the game that is inside of you and inside of me. Roy Lloyd Lutheran pastor tells the story. He says, God comes to us in strange and wonderful ways, sometimes at the most unusual and unexpected times. For instance, there was a father who discovered his little daughter wrapping a Christmas present, and she was using lots and lots and lots and lots of wrapping paper. And so he scolded her and told her to be more realistic in her wrapping and to not waste paper like that. Feeling rather satisfied at this lesson he taught her, he went on about his pre-Christmas preparations. On Christmas Day, the presents were being unwrapped, and there for him was the very package he scolded his daughter for wrapping. Feeling a bit ashamed, he opened the present, taking off layer after layer after layer after layer of paper, and then he opened the box, which was empty. He turned in confusion to his little daughter and he said, "You mean you used all that wrapping paper just to give me nothing?" But the little one, with great wisdom, said, "But Daddy, what I gave you were all of my kisses. I blew them into the box, and it took a really big box to hold them all, and it took lots of wrapping paper to keep them in." And he hugged her, and he gave thanks for her wisdom. And it was said that this father kept that box for years. And whenever he was down and needed the blessing of heartfelt love, he opened the box. God comes in unusual ways.
Amen.
When Christmas comes, it will be like God's kisses to us. God comes to us as a small child filled with love for all people. And that wonderful package is wonderfully full. Jesus was a gift far beyond all imagining. It was like we were getting a visit from beyond, and we were. You know, the game many of us have been playing is the one that says we have to earn our way into being somebody, to having worth. Or the game that says we have to fight our way to make sure we get our fair share, that we have enough. Or the game that says there's surely something out there, something we can buy or befriend or discover or win that will finally fill that empty place that is in here, something that will bring peace at once and for all to our troubled souls. We've been playing that game. I don't know about you, but it's not working, is it? We've been playing it as individuals. We've been playing it as people gathered together as a nation. We've been playing it even as the church. And it's not working. But there's one who's coming who wants to change the game. Amen. Like a potter working with clay, he wants to remold us and make us after his will. And so we're simply asked to wait in our woundedness and be still. May our prayer this day and throughout this season be a simple one. Have thine own way, Lord. Have thine own way. Would you pray that prayer with me? If you feel that, say it with me. Have thine own way, Lord. Have thine own way. We're going to sing that prayer once more.